All right. Translating English into math is one of the most important skills for solving word problems. So some of this we've already covered, but let's review. The sum of 3 and 5. Remember that the sum is the result of an addition. So the sum of 3 and 5 can be written as 3 plus 5. And you'll recall that addition is commutative, which means you can do it in either order. So you can write 3 plus 5 or 5 plus 3. The product of 2 and 7, you'll recall that product means multiply or the result of a multiplication. So the product of 2 and 7 can be written as 2 times 7. And it's also commutative, so you can write 7 times 2. All right, what about the difference between 10 and 2? So the difference is the result of a subtraction. And unlike addition and multiplication, the order is important. So the difference between 10 and 2 is 10 minus 2. And let's review some of the other ways that we can write the subtraction. All right, 15 minus 2 is just like it sounds, 15 minus 2. So in math, when something is intuitive, it's the way you would expect. So these two ways of writing a subtraction are called intuitive because the numbers and the English statement are the same order as they are in the math statement. So 15 minus 2, 15 minus 2. The next two examples are called counterintuitive. They can be the opposite of the way you might think. So I would pay particular attention to these. So 3 less than 20. We're going to be doing this with algebra, but it often helps to review this one with actual numbers because it's easier to think, oh, you have $20 and I have 3 less than 20. So that's 20 minus 3. So in the less than statement, the numbers in the math statement are in the opposite order that they are in the English statement. And that's why it's called counterintuitive. 5 subtracted from 30 is a little easier to remember. And that's also a counterintuitive statement because the numbers in the math statement are in the opposite order that they are in the English statement. All right, so that's called counterintuitive. You don't need to memorize this vocabulary word unless you're going to the better math parties. But I would memorize this statement and maybe this statement because the order is important and the order in the math statement is the opposite that they are in the English statement. So you switch the numbers. Now let's do some more. All right, you'll recall that quotient is the result of a division. So the quotient of 3 and 5 is 3 divided by 5, or the fraction 3 over 5. And you'll recall from before, there's 3 ways of writing a division. 5 divided by 7, 7 divided into 5, or 5 over 7. So when we're writing equations, we're going to be writing them, we'll be writing this division as a fraction. All right, for the equal sign in an equation, there are a number of different words they can use. Like is the most common. Are is also used. Of course, that's a plural of is. You can also say that it results in or gives. And those are just a few of the ways to write equals. All right, and when you're talking about the unknown quantity in your equation, that's going to be the variable. Remember, it's called the variable because its quantity could vary. So we use X or another letter. X is the most common, but you can use any letter that you wish, at least in the beginning. Of course, once you get into physics and advanced calculus, you'll use different letters. So sometimes in these problems, they'll say a number. Wherever you see a number, you're going to use X or another letter. All right, let's practice some translations. So if you see a number increased by 5, increased by means plus. So that's X plus 5. And sometimes people confuse this with multiplication, but let's think about it this way. If the price of something was $20 and then it increased by 5, it wouldn't be 20 times $5. It would be 20 plus $5 or $25. All right, 7 more than a number is also another way of writing addition. So you could say 7 plus X or X plus 7, because remember that addition is commutative, so you can write it in any order. With the X in front, that's just considered more elegant. And I know that eventually you will want your math to be elegant. All right, here's a challenging one. 8 less than a number. So you'll recall that less than means subtraction, but remember this is the counterintuitive example. So this means a number minus 8. So it's a little harder to imagine it because we don't know what that number is. If you ever get stuck, just replace an actual number and that'll help you remember. What's 8 less than $20? That's $20 minus 8 or $12. All right, twice a number. Well, twice, this means that you multiply by 2. Half of a number. So of usually means multiply. So you're just taking 1/2 and you're multiplying it times that unknown number. So if you saw 0.34 of a number, that would just be 0.34 times the number. If they said 75% of a number, well, you'll recall that first you have to convert that percent into a decimal. So that'll be 0.75. Of means multiply, so that's 0.75x. All right, now let's do some examples where there's more than one operation. All right, so 3 times a number increased by 5. And if I were you, I would hit pause and try this one on your own. All right, now that you've tried it, let's check. So 3 times a number is 3 times x. Increased by 5, that means plus 5. Let's try another one. All right, 30 less than 5 times a number. So again, let's hit pause because you already know how to do this one. So try that one on your own. All right. So remember, less than, that's the counterintuitive example. So we do 5 times a number and then subtract 30. All right, this next example is especially challenging, so let's do it together. 40% of, so recall that you're going to convert that to a decimal, and you know you're going to multiply, but we haven't seen this before. We're going to multiply 40% times the sum of a number and 3. So what they're telling you is they want you to add these together and then take 40% of it. So in the order of operations, you multiply first and then add. How do you make sure that in this example, we add first and then multiply? Well, the way you make sure that you add first is by putting it in parentheses. So the sum of a number and 3, that's the result of this addition. Then you take 40% of it. So you're going to multiply by 40%. All right, let's try another one like that. All right, let's write 7.2% of the sum of 5 and a number. And I would hit pause and try this one on your own. All right, now that you've tried it, let's go over the answer. So it's 7.2% times the result of this addition, 5 and a number. So we have to make sure that that addition happens first. And you can write it as 5 plus x or x plus 5 because addition is commutative. And then we convert 7.2% into a decimal. And multiply it times that result. All right, let's try writing some equations. And this one's pretty simple. I bet you can do it on your own, so I would recommend hitting the pause button and try it. All right, let's check it. So the sum of a number and 8, that means we're going to add that number and 8 means equals. And we'll solve these in another video. So let's just keep translating. All right, this one's a little bit more challenging. 5 less than a number is 20. Again, I would hit pause and try that one on your own. All right, so less than, remember that's the counterintuitive example. 5 less than a number means that number, take away 5, is means equals. And there's your equation. Let's try another. All right, 3 times a number increased by 8 is 10. Again, I would hit pause and try this one on your own. All right, so 3 times a number would be 3 times x increased by, that means plus, is means equals 10. Let's try another. All right, this one's more challenging, but I know you can do it. When 7 is subtracted from 5 times a number, the result is 13. So I would hit the pause button and try that one. All right. So subtracted from, that's the one where we have to change the order. So you have 5 times a number, and then 7 is subtracted from that. And the result is, that's equals 13. Let's try another. All right, this one's challenging, but I think you should try it. 7 times the sum of 2 and a number is 49. So I would hit pause and try that one. All right. So we're multiplying 7 times the result of an addition. So that's 2 and a number. So we need to make sure that happens first. And you could write 2 plus x or x plus 2 because addition is commutative. And then you're going to multiply 7 times that result, and that is 49. All right, so make sure you practice translating. This is going to be the first step in solving most word problems. So you definitely want to practice. All right.